everyone, and welcome back to
Imagine That News. The vocab word of the week is abstemious, meaning marked by temperance and indulgence.
Sanctions on Russia have started to hurt the EU more than it has hurt Russia. OPEC recently stated that replacing all of the oil lost from Russia because of sanctions and boycotts would be nearly impossible to replace.
The EU relies on Russia for a fourth of their oil supply, and the potential for loss is estimated to be 7 million barrels a day of Russian oil and other liquid exports. The rising prices of gas aren't helping in this crisis either.
Gas prices were up 30%, not considering the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Supply and demand basics of economy have been basically thrown out the window due to the world's political instability right now. However, OPEC and OPEC Plus plan to act abstemiously and leave out politics out of any major decision-making.
OPEC Plus even stated that they will increase their exports by 432,000 barrels of oil a day to ease the economic strain, which is something that the EU will heavily rely on until sanctions are lifted on Russia, if that ever happens.
We'll see about that. But for the first time since 2017, U.S. aircraft carriers have been deployed off the Korean Peninsula amid tensions with North Korea. These tensions are due to the rising concern that North Korea will begin testing nuclear weapons once again.
Commander Haley Sims of Japan stated that the Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group is conducting bilateral operations with the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force in the Sea of Japan. These are efforts to maintain a free and open Indo-Pacific, despite North Korea's aggressions.
North Korea has never been happy with American military defense and sees their drills as war rehearsals, and it increases tension between these two states.
Speaking of rising tension, Moskva, the flagship of Russia's Black Sea Fleet, was damaged by an explosion and sunk. Russia refuses to admit that the explosion came from Ukrainian missiles from Kyiv, saying a fire caused the ship to sink.
This 12,490-ton vessel is the largest Russian warship to ever be sunk since World War II. This is an extremely low point for Russia, as Moskva signified Russia's main naval assault on Ukraine.
Ukraine claims that the ship was struck with their own Neptune missiles that were created after the annexation of Crimea in 2014. However, Russia's media has ignored their loss and merely skips over it in the news or manipulates the story to fit Russian pride.
This story kind of reminds me of how recently a Tennessee trooper used a tape measure to wrangle a loose pig on the highway.
The Tennessee Highway Patrol tweeted, "No lasso, no problem," shortly after the incident.
If I saw a pig on the highway, I think I'd keep it for myself.
I wonder how our classmates would handle a loose highway pig.
On to the interview section. We're here with Nathan. Nathan, if you saw a pig running on the side of the road, what would you do?
I'd capture it and sell it for money.
Like money, like piggy bank, right? Like piggy bank?
To add on to my piggy bank, yes.
We're here with Shalana. Shalana, what would you do if you saw a loose pig on the highway?
I'd probably run over it.
Any reason why?
It's a loose pig, I can't do that.
We're here with Cameron. Cameron, if you saw a pig running across the highway, what would you do?
You know me, I'm running the other direction. Very haram. You know me, God's watching me, Allah's watching me at all times. I ain't sinning. I ain't going to where. So you know what? I'm going to run the opposite direction.
Mashallah. Wow, imagine that. Tune in next week.